Have you ever observed how some individuals seem to naturally influence their surroundings without saying a word? They don't raise their voice. They don't seek attention. They simply pull back. And suddenly, the environment shifts. The energy transforms. People begin to ask questions, chase after them, feel something intangible that they can't put into words. Now picture yourself doing the same. Imagine if you stopped reacting instantly to everything around you, if you chose stillness over impulsiveness, withdrawal instead of confrontation. What would that lead to? This is where real power lies. When you stop being endlessly available, emotionally, mentally, and physically, the world around you will be thrown into disarray. People are used to managing you by triggering your responses, your automatic reactions, your predictability. But once you choose to withdraw, everything changes. Those who thought they understood you will suddenly realize they don't know you at all. As Carl Jung wisely noted, everything that irritates us about others can lead us to a better understanding of ourselves. So think about this. When you become distant, who becomes desperate? Who gets agitated? Who tries to provoke you just to draw out some emotion? This speaks more about them than it does about you. It reveals just how much you've been manipulated without even realizing it. You've been giving yourself away, trying to please, maintain peace, hold on to people who deep down were never really there for you. Every forced yes, every impulsive reaction, every instant response takes away a piece of your energy. And what's left at the end of the day? Exhaustion, frustration, a sense of emptiness that you can't explain. But I'll tell you why. It's because you've been too available for people who don't even deserve a second of your silence. This message isn't about turning your back on the world. It's about choosing yourself. It's about learning what Jung called individuation, the process of becoming whole, authentic, and complete. And this journey begins when you understand that silence can hold more power than 1,000 arguments. When retreat is not an escape, but a powerful act born from awareness. So now I ask you, how long will you let others control your emotions? How long will you keep reacting like a puppet every time someone pushes your buttons? Maybe it's time to cut those strings, pull back, and become a mystery. Because when you stop being accessible, everything changes. From the moment you were born, you've been conditioned to always be present, to respond quickly, to please others, to say yes, even when you should say no. Since childhood, you've been taught to define your worth based on how available you are to others. But here's a truth you may never have heard before. Being perpetually available is not a virtue. It's a prison. And as long as you believe that being accessible all the time, emotionally, mentally, or otherwise is necessary, you will remain manipulated, drained, and discarded the moment you no longer serve a purpose. Do you know why? Because being always available makes you predictable. And predictability turns you into a tool. People start using you like an emotional emergency button. They press it when they need attention, comfort, or validation, and then they put you back on the shelf. You don't notice it because you're trapped in the illusion that being available for everyone will somehow make someone be available for you. But that's not how it works. Jung discussed the concept of the persona, the mask we wear in order to be loved, accepted, and recognized. It is this mask that keeps you overly available. You say everything's fine when you're suffocating. You respond to messages instantly, even when you're drained. You explain yourself, justify yourself, defend yourself as though you owe the world something. But the reality is, the more you place yourself at the center of other people's lives, the more you disappear from your own. Being available all the time is a subtle form of self-neglect. It's an unconscious attempt to gain approval, avoid rejection, and manage the image others have of you. But the cost of maintaining this control over your image is your own peace of mind. The price? Your inner peace. Your energy is stretched, thin, as if it's infinite. But it's not. It's finite. Those who demand your constant availability don't really want you. They want what you provide: validation, companionship, distraction, emotional comfort. But once you set boundaries, once you refuse to react, once you withdraw, those same people get frustrated, call you strange, accuse you of changing. It's not because you've changed, it's because you stopped being a tool for them. And here's the harsh reality: the more available you are, the less others value you. What is abundant becomes disposable. No one respects something they can always access. No one values what they don't have to earn. Now take a moment to reflect. Who truly deserves your time, your attention, your presence? Or perhaps more importantly, who deserves your absence? But before you answer, let's explore why we react so much, why we give in so easily. What's behind this automatic drive to respond, to justify, to please? The answer lies in something Carl Jung described as psychic energy. And that's what we'll explore next. Your energy is all you have. And if you don't learn to protect it, someone else will use it against you. If this message resonates with you, consider subscribing to the channel. Thank you for your support. Jung didn't view the psyche as a machine that simply reacts to stimuli without consequences. He believed our mind functions as an energy system, and every thought, emotion, and action consumes a portion of that energy. The question is, are you consciously deciding where your energy goes, or is the world dictating it for you? Each time you react impulsively, you waste psychic energy. When you defend yourself against unwarranted criticism, when you engage in unnecessary conflicts, when you try to please those who don't appreciate you, you expend your inner strength on things that don't nourish you. Jung was clear on this. What you resist persists. The more you react, the more you tie yourself to that energy. People who feel emotionally drained aren't weak. They are misdirected. And do you know what happens to someone who is constantly exhausted? They become vulnerable. And when you're vulnerable, you become easy prey. Manipulative, opportunistic, and emotionally needy individuals can sense this. They see that you don't know how to safeguard your energy, that you react to everything, that you're always trying to fix the world, and they exploit that. Jung said that a healthy psyche knows how to contain its energy. This means having the ability to say no without guilt, to remain silent without feeling inferior, and to observe before acting. True power isn't found in constant reactions. It's in choosing when and how to act. And this is only possible when you know yourself deeply enough to recognize your impulses. How many nights have you spent awake, replaying conversations in your mind, or trying to figure out why someone treated you a certain way? This is energy being drained without any return. You're holding on to ghosts that should have been put to rest long ago, fueling dynamics that exist only because you keep responding to them. Psychic energy works like a force field. When protected, it commands presence. You walk into a room, and people feel your presence without you saying a word. But when it's mishandled, you become invisible, reactive, fragile, and the world takes advantage of those who give in too easily. So, start noticing your triggers. What sets you off? Automatically? What makes you lose your balance? These are the areas where your energy leaks, and they are the places you need to work on. This isn't about becoming cold or indifferent. It's about becoming selective. It's about taking sovereignty over yourself. Jung's insight here is crucial. When you learn to conserve your energy, you dismantle the projections others place on you. And this shakes things up because we enter the territory of silent manipulation. We will discuss how opportunistic individuals feed off your energy and why your unavailability disarms their games. Get ready to recognize those who have drained you without you even realizing it. You may think you're in control, but in truth, you've been manipulated. Most of your emotional reactions are instinctual. They've become habitual, and because of that, they're easy for others to trigger. Opportunistic people, in particular, understand this mechanism well. They don't need to shout or manipulate overtly. They simply press the emotional buttons. You've left exposed, and you react predictably. This is the subtle art of silent manipulation. Carl Jung referred to this phenomenon as projection, the process through which people project their unresolved emotions and traits onto others. This means when someone behaves provocatively toward you, it's rarely about you. It's about what they see in themselves but cannot face. And the more emotionally available you are, the more you become a target for these projections. Think about the people who only reach out when they're in need. The friend who calls you in times of crisis, the partner who expects you to come to the rescue every time, or the person who offers praise only when you fulfill their emotional needs. These aren't relationships based on genuine connection. They're based on roles, the role you play in their life, and the role they want you to continue fulfilling. Why do you keep accepting these roles? Why do you agree to be there for people who only come to you when it's convenient for them? The answer lies in fear. Fear of rejection, fear of abandonment, fear of disappointing others. The most effective form of manipulation isn't loud or aggressive. It's the quiet manipulation of guilt. The manipulator doesn't need to control you directly. They only need you to keep playing the role they've created for you. The more you feel you owe others, the more you get trapped in their emotional web. And here's where the truth lies. The manipulator doesn't need to control every move you make. They simply need you to keep reacting the same way. But when you stop reacting, the game ends. The dynamic shifts. Once you start saying no, pulling away and responding with silence, the projections others placed on you begin to crumble. The mask they've created for you starts to fall apart, and this leaves them feeling unsettled because now they no longer know who you are. And worse, they are now forced to confront their own issues, the very issues they've been projecting onto you. Your unavailability is a threat. It forces those around you to face the reality that their relationship with you was built on convenience, not on a true connection. The silence you offer forces them to hear their own internal noise, the noise they've been avoiding by keeping you in a constant state of reaction. But it's not because you've done anything wrong. It's because you stopped being useful to them. And this is the painful truth. The more available you are, the less others value you. What is always accessible becomes expendable. People don't respect what they don't have to earn. The more you're there, the less they will appreciate you. So now, I invite you to reflect deeply. Who truly deserves your time? Who deserves your presence, your attention, your listening ear? Or perhaps more crucially, who deserves your absence? Before you can answer, let's explore why we so easily react, why we give in, why we feel this automatic urge to respond, justify, and please. The answer, as Carl Jung pointed out, lies in what he called psychic energy. Your energy is all you have, and if you don't learn how to protect it, it will be used against you. If you find yourself resonating with this content, then take a moment to click that subscribe button. Join the community. Thank you for your support. Jung didn't view the mind as a simple machine that reacts to external triggers without consequence. Instead, he saw the psyche as an energy system where every thought, emotion, and action consumes a part of your vital energy. The question is, are you choosing where your energy goes, or are you allowing the world to dictate it for you? Each time you react without thought, you are wasting psychic energy. When you defend yourself against criticisms that don't even deserve your attention, when you respond to provocations just to prove you're right, when you engage in pointless debates, when you try to please people who don't value you, you are giving away your inner strength to things that do not nourish your soul. Jung was clear on this point. What you resist persists. The more you react, the more you entangle yourself in a cycle that doesn't serve you. People who seem emotionally drained aren't weak. They're misdirected. And what happens when someone is constantly exhausted? They become vulnerable. And when you're vulnerable, you become easy prey for manipulative, opportunistic, and emotionally needy individuals. They sense that you haven't learned to guard your energy. They see that you react impulsively to everything. that you are always trying to fix problems that aren't yours to solve, and they use that to their advantage. Jung believed that a healthy mind knows how to preserve energy within itself. This means having the strength to say no without guilt, to remain silent without feeling inferior, and to wait, to observe, before acting. Real power lies not in reacting automatically, but in choosing when and how to act. And this can only happen when you are truly in tune with yourself and your impulses. How many times have you found yourself awake, tossing and turning, replaying an unresolved conversation? How often have you spent hours ruminating over what you should have said, or questioning why someone treated you in a certain way? This is energy being drained without any return. You're holding on to ghosts of the past, thoughts that should have been laid to rest long ago, and you're feeding into dynamics that only continue because you keep responding to them. Your psychic energy is like a protective field around you. When it's well guarded, it radiates presence. You enter a space, and without saying a word, people notice. But when you let your energy leak, you become reactive, fragile, and invisible. And the world takes advantage of this. Therefore, begin to observe your triggers. What sets you off without warning? What makes you lose your balance? These are the places where your energy leaks out, and they are the areas where you need to work. This doesn't mean becoming cold or indifferent. It's about being selective. It's about regaining sovereignty over yourself. One of Jung's greatest insights is this: when you conserve your energy, you break the projections that others place upon you. And that disrupts their game. It's when you stop reacting that the true power is born. Now let's delve into how people who thrive on your energy will react to your unavailability, and why your absence disarms them. Get ready to see the truth about those who've been draining you without you even noticing. You thought you were in control of your emotions, but the truth is much darker than you realize. Most of your emotional reactions are pre-programmed. They have become habitual over time, so much so that you don't even realize how easy it is for others to trigger them. Opportunistic individuals are particularly adept at understanding this mechanism. They don't need to raise their voices or make demands. They simply push the emotional buttons you've left exposed, and you react. This is the subtle form of manipulation that often goes unnoticed. Carl Jung referred to this as projection, the psychological process where people project their own unacknowledged emotions, traits, or fears onto others. This means that when people provoke you, it's rarely about who you are. It's about them. It's about their own inner conflicts that they can't face, so they transfer them onto you. The more emotionally available you are, the more you become a prime target for these projections. Think about it. How many times have you been the one that friends or family reach out to in moments of crisis? How often are you the savior in relationships, the person others turn to when they need something? These aren't genuine connections. These are roles you've been cast in, roles that people rely on because they know they can depend on you to fulfill their emotional needs. But those roles are not who you really are. They're just projections of what others want you to be. Why do you keep accepting these roles? Why do you let yourself be defined by what others need from you, rather than who you truly are? The answer is simple: fear. Fear of rejection, fear of not being loved, fear of abandonment. The most subtle form of manipulation is guilt. The manipulator doesn't need to control you overtly. They just need you to keep reacting in the ways they expect. As long as you play your role, they can maintain control. But when you stop reacting, everything shifts. The dynamic collapses. When you begin to say no, when you withdraw, when you remain silent, you start to break the projections people have placed on you. The mask they've created for you starts to fall, and suddenly, they no longer know who you are. And that discomfort they feel is not about you. It's about them being forced to confront themselves, something most are not ready to do. Your absence, your unavailability, becomes a threat. It disrupts their reality because it forces them to acknowledge that their relationship with you was never about you as a person. It was about convenience. It was about their need for you to fulfill a role, to keep their emotional world stable. When you stop playing that role, the narrative they've built around you starts to crumble. But here's the thing. It's not because you've done something wrong. It's because you've stopped being useful to them. The harsh truth is this. The more available you are to others, the less they value you. When something is always available, it becomes disposable. People stop respecting what they can always count on. No one values what is constantly at their disposal. Now, I want you to take a moment and reflect. Who truly deserves your time? Who deserves your attention, your energy, your presence? Or more importantly, who deserves your absence? Before you answer, let's dive into the deeper question. Why do we react so easily? Why do we give in without hesitation? What's at the root of our automatic responses to others? The answer lies in what Carl Jung described as psychic energy. Your energy is everything. It is the foundation of your emotional, mental, and physical well-being. If you don't learn how to protect it, it will be drained away, and others will use it against you. If this message is resonating with you, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Join the community, and thank you for your support. Jung didn't view the human mind as a simple reactive system. He saw it as a dynamic energy field, where every thought, emotion, and action takes away a part of that energy. The real question is, are you consciously directing your energy, or are you allowing others to decide for you? Every time you react without thinking, you waste precious psychic energy. When you defend yourself against criticism that doesn't deserve your time, when you engage in unnecessary arguments, when you try to please those who don't appreciate you are giving away your inner strength to things that don't serve you. Jung made it clear, what you resist persists. The more you react, the more you bind yourself to these draining dynamics. People who feel emotionally drained are not weak. They are misdirected. And do you know what happens when someone is always running on empty? They become vulnerable. Vulnerability is like an open door to those who are manipulative, opportunistic, and emotionally needy. They see that you're always reacting, always giving, and they exploit that weakness. Jung believed that a healthy psyche knows how to contain and protect its energy. This means learning to say no without guilt, to remain silent without feeling inadequate, and to pause before acting. True power lies not in impulsive reactions, but in the ability to choose when and how to act. This power can only be found when you know yourself deeply enough to recognize your own impulses and make conscious decisions. How many times have you spent restless nights, replaying conversations in your mind, wondering why someone treated you the way they did? How often do you ruminate over things you could have said or done differently? That's your energy being drained, energy that you'll never get back. You're holding on to ghosts that should have been left behind long ago, keeping dynamics alive that only persist because you continue to feed them with your reactions. Psychic energy is like a protective field that surrounds you. When it's well managed, you enter a space and people sense your presence without you saying a word. But when you let your energy leak, you become reactive, fragile, and vulnerable, and the world takes advantage of that. Start paying attention to your triggers. What makes you react instantly? What throws you off balance? These are the areas where your energy leaks out, and they are where you need to work. This isn't about becoming cold or indifferent. It's about becoming selective. It's about taking back control of your own energy. One of Jung's most profound insights is that when you conserve your energy, you break the projections others place upon you. And this is where things get uncomfortable, because we enter the realm of silent manipulation. Now we will explore how people who feed off your energy react to your unavailability and why it disarms their manipulative games. Prepare to look into the eyes of those who've been draining you without your knowledge. You might have thought you were in control, But in truth, you were being controlled the entire time. You've been conditioned to believe that your emotional responses define you, that how you react to others is what makes you human. But what if that's not the case? What if the true power lies not in reacting, but in deciding when and how to engage? When you stop reacting, you break free from the invisible chains that have kept you tied to others' expectations and demands. Most people don't even realize they're manipulating you. They don't have to be overt about it. They simply trigger you in ways you've been conditioned to respond. And as long as you continue to react, they maintain control. But once you stop reacting, everything changes. You become unpredictable. And that unpredictability is terrifying to those who have been using your emotional availability for their own benefit. The moment you decide to stop responding automatically, you start reclaiming your personal power. You stop being a puppet to your impulses and begin to take control of your own energy. This shift doesn't happen overnight, and it's not easy. The people around you will notice your absence. They will feel your silence, and it will disturb them because they can no longer rely on you to fulfill their needs. But here's the truth. Their discomfort is not your problem. It's theirs. The silence you offer is a mirror. It forces them to confront their own emotional chaos that they once projected onto you. It's a discomfort that reveals how much they've been using you as an emotional outlet. And when you stop allowing them to do that, they are left to face their own darkness. This is where the manipulation ends. And this is where you begin to take back your power. When you choose silence instead of reacting, you no longer play into their narrative. You no longer allow them to control you by triggering your emotions. And that's when the real transformation begins. Jung believed that true freedom comes when we stop being defined by others' projections, when we stop being puppets in their emotional games. And this is what happens when you choose to stop reacting. You stop playing the role that others have assigned to you, and you step into your authentic self. You become the creator of your own emotional reality, not the passive actor in someone else's script. But this process requires a deep commitment to self-awareness. It requires you to observe yourself carefully and understand why you react the way you do. What triggers you? What makes you lose your sense of self? These are the key areas where you need to focus your energy. And the more you learn to control your responses, the more you'll begin to feel a profound sense of peace and power. The more you preserve your psychic energy, the more you create an emotional force field that others cannot easily penetrate. You become a person who enters a room and commands respect, not because you demand it, but because your energy radiates authority and strength. And when you protect that energy, you stop being vulnerable to emotional exploitation. But what does this really mean in practice? It means learning to say no without guilt. It means stepping back from toxic situations and refusing to engage in unnecessary drama. It means learning to leave conversations that drain you and turning off your phone when you need to recharge. It's about understanding that your time, your energy, and your peace are sacred. This process of emotional self-preservation doesn't come easily. You'll feel resistance from others. They will try to guilt-trip you, accuse you of being selfish, or tell you that you're being too harsh. But remember this, their discomfort is not your responsibility. It's a reflection of their inability to cope with your new boundaries. And that's not your problem. The most important part of this journey is understanding that you don't owe anyone an explanation for your absence. You don't have to justify your silence. The people who truly care about you will respect your space, your boundaries, and your need for peace. The others? They will reveal their true nature, and you'll be able to see them for who they truly are. Carl Jung understood that the path to individuation, the process of becoming who you truly are, requires moments of isolation. Not isolation out of despair or depression, but sacred solitude. A time where you reconnect with yourself, away from the expectations and projections of others. It's in this space of quiet introspection that you begin to understand your true self. And it's in this space that you begin to reclaim your energy and your peace. This is not a journey of cutting off the world or rejecting others. It's a journey of reconnecting with yourself. It's about learning to be present with your own thoughts, your own feelings, your own needs, without the constant influence of others. And in this process, you will discover a strength you never knew you had. The more you practice conscious unavailability, the more you will realize how much energy you've been giving away to people who didn't deserve it. And as you reclaim that energy, you'll begin to see the world differently. You'll start to notice how much of your emotional life has been spent reacting to others, trying to please them, trying to meet their needs, even at the cost of your own well-being. But this shift will not be easy. You will face resistance, both internally and externally. You will feel guilt, fear, and anxiety. You may even question yourself. But remember, this is part of the process. This is the discomfort that comes with true transformation. You are shedding the old version of yourself, the one who was always available, always reacting, always putting others first. And in doing so, you are becoming a new version of yourself, stronger, more authentic, and more aligned with your true self. So, ask yourself this: how much longer will you continue to be a puppet in someone else's emotional game? How much longer will you react to the whims and demands of others? When will you choose to stop being so available? When will you choose yourself? This is the moment of transformation, the moment you decide that your peace, your energy, and your life are more important than pleasing others. The moment you decide to take back control of your own narrative and stop being defined by the expectations of others.